Like now, it is time for our speaker, Spark. She is a good friend of mine. Our topic and description in short is being called. Have you heard? Are you listening? Have you answered the call to serve? Sharon will share what it's like to be called, examples of how her everyday life has changed to answer the call, and examples of answering that call. Reverend Sharon Cristofalo is an ordained interfaith minister, a physical therapist, and an exceptional evolutionary, multidimensional energy healer. She intuitively incorporates many high vibrational healing modalities into one integrated technique called Sacred Brilliance. Each person who leaves a Sacred Brilliance session or meditation has been pleasantly surprised, and I would say that is an understatement. I had a healing with her and was absolutely blown away with the profound and deep healing experience. So, thank you very much for joining us, Sharon, and I turn it over to you.
All righty. Hi, everybody. Great to be here today. This is like so weird to be not touching you and feeling you and giving you hugs. So virtual hugs and kisses. What just an FYI before I start, I'm doing meditation and a healing with Circle the end of April, so keep an eye out for that, and I'm looking to do that once a month. And I'm also starting to teach some Sacred Brilliance energy classes, so if any of those are interesting to you and want to connect with me, or I've been doing lots of remote sessions, and that's been kind of fun and quite powerful, sometimes even more so than in person at times, so you just never know. So if any of that's of interest, my website is sacredbrilliance.com, and contact information's on there. Oh yeah, so 2020, right? 2 + 0 + 2 + 0 comes up to a 4. It is our decade for a new foundation. It is a decade for clear vision, 2020 vision. Although right now it's cloudy. That vision is cloudy, so we got to hang in there a little bit. Soon truth will be apparent without a doubt, and new foundations will be laid. So today is a 4 for April, a 5 for the day in 2020, and that also adds up to a 4. So we have our new foundation, and a good example is I'm the first speaker of our new foundation for our Zoom work here. So it's in our outreach in a different way. What's fascinating too is yesterday added up to a 3. It was 4, 4, and 2020 adds to a 4, so it was like a day of 4, 4, 4, so an auspicious type of day. And when you add all those numbers together, it becomes a 3 for the new beginnings. And it began with an opening of a portal, because Jupiter and Pluto were in conjunction. And this portal allowed the angelic beings to come through and to optimize our ascension and to get it in the best way for the age of Aquarius, hence the song in the beginning. So our vision is to see, to hear, to listen, and follow the call, because all of us as light workers are needed now more than ever to keep moving us forward with this awakening and all these changes that are occurring. I've always felt that it was my destiny to do more, to be more involved with spirituality, to do great things, whatever that may be, and constantly in being guided by the divine. And it's this innate thing within me that just keeps pushing me forward to do more. So I can look back in my life, and in high school even, I frequently read Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. How many high school students do you know just automatically read that as a fun book to read? And in college, there was a time when I thought, ooh, being a Hare Krishna might be fun. So that did not happen, but all those thoughts were there, and you just never know how that goes. Along my way, I lived in a spirited house. I learned a lot of shamanism. I did my Reiki, my PT, IET, crystals, oils, Arcturian healing, and eventually became that interfaith minister as well. And it's interesting, along my course is one of the things that being called is about is having that consistency and that intensity to keep going no matter what obstacles go in your way. And getting into PT school, I knew that that was what I wanted, but I got rejected. I didn't get into the school that I wanted initially, had to go to a different school, and then had to transfer into another physical therapy school. So it finally happened, but I had to stay the course and keep going. So there's that commitment that shows up with being called. No matter how you do it, what you do it, there's that call. And now as that healthcare worker, there's more obstacles that show up with now having to put my mask on and my gloves every time I see a client and clean extra and do all that extra stuff and make sure that I keep them well as myself. So there's more. And on a simple level, being called has shown up and looked like for me within just the home care PT that I do is when I showed up for this one client, Teresa. She's in her 80s, and she would say every time I'd open the door and walk through the door, she would just feel so much better. Well, that's cool. If that's all you need to do to show up and be called, that's not so bad. Pretty easy. Well, we started talking about Reiki, and as we're talking, she's pointing up at the wall, and I'm like, what is she doing? I go over, look at the wall. There's this beautiful certificate of her taking Reiki 1, and that wasn't all that long ago. And it was just a wonderful opening for me to be able to review with her chakras and get her into her own self-healing. And, I was guided to be there for her. Another client who has cancer, she needed physical therapy for her strengthening. And so I'd go and she would be exhausted from her chemotherapy. And trying to get somebody to exercise when they're that exhausted is just not going to work. So I introduced the Reiki and other things, and she just loved it. And it gave her such peace that when it was her turn to head towards hospice, her dying wish was that I would come and give her Reiki. And eventually I did that. There were of course, some obstacles that showed up with, I belonged to the home care portion of my work, and this was in the hospice portion. And even though they were the same company, it wasn't easy for a worker to do one thing to the other from a technical stuff. So by the time we were done, it was taking my office too long. And I knew that this was her dying wish. It was my innate calling to go and see her. So I did that out of my own will and heart. And it was just the most beautiful thing because she appreciated so much, her family did, and within a day or so she transitioned. So it was an honor to be involved in moving someone along. So on a more unusual level, the things that happened during the day for me, I was going on vacation. We all go on vacation and no big deal. And you just go and enjoy and find the sights and be. And one time on vacation, I'm in Vermont, right at the bottom end of Lake Champlain. And New York is right over there. And the friend that I was with, I wanted to take to this fort that was right across from Vermont in the New York area. And I don't know, something possessed me. I was just, we've got to go. Let's go. How fast can we get there? Come on, move it, move it, move it. And we finally get there. And it's a fort from the 1700s. And it was more of a hospital than a fort. So it wasn't really like a battle scene. And in the area in the back were a few graves. It was just, a nice, very beautiful thing. But I was determined we had to get there as soon as possible. So we're watching the basic video of what's going on, and I am bawling my eyes out. I'm like, okay, I didn't think I knew anybody from the 1700s, but maybe I did. Maybe I was there in a past life. Who knows? All these, little things are going through my head. And, obviously I'm there for a reason. I have no idea why. Well, as soon as the movie's over, walk outside into the courtyard. And then all of a sudden it hit me. I need to pray to move the souls along. And once I did that, I was in deep peace. I shut off like a switch and I was fine. So I was called to move souls along before I knew what I was exactly doing. So here comes this year, New Year's. So the New Year's Eve, went to a nice party, had a great time. And in the morning, I wake up with this horrific dream. I don't usually get horrific dreams, but this was just way out of the ballpark. And it's me putting my orange cat into a shredder. Just too weird, too strange. But all that's left is the face, like a Cheshire face looking out of the shredder with a partial smile to it. Whatever. So, okay, letting that be. I'm moving along, and I usually put on some sort of high vibrational, angelic-oriented music in the morning. Well, I was guided to put on some Aborigine didgeridoo music, those lower tones, and it was just like, no, this is not me. Like, what is going on? I knew I was meeting some friends later on to go to Ringing Rocks, and we were going to ring in the new year. There's a Native American sacred area there that we were going to visit, and there were things we were going to check out, and all spiritual people, so it was very easy that way. But along the way, as I'm getting ready, I'm hearing, bring your rattle. Okay, I'm bringing my Celtic shamanic rattle. Okay, so now I'm getting out my extra beads and high-level crystals because something's up, something's coming. Okay, what am I to do? I know that there's a portal up there that, had been closed for eons. I don't know how long. And I am just starting to speak my light language. Things are going on. And there's this burning intensity to get there as soon as possible. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I check in with Jesus, Yeshua, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, just because, I'm just checking in. And they were like, yep. You have to go and open a portal. All right, okay, off I go. On the way as I'm driving, I'm speaking light language, I'm singing light language. I don't even know what I'm saying half the time. It's just coming through me. So we get to Ringing Rocks. I meet up with my friends and just say, look, I'm a little bit crazy. I don't know what's going on, but I know I need to do a ceremony here. We go off to, I don't know how many of you've been there, but there's a whole huge section with these huge boulders, like massive boulders. And there's many theories as to how they got there. And then along the rear and the back is a beautiful, beautiful waterfall and some nice grounds in between. So a couple of friends have their hammers and they're banging the boulders because they make a ringing sound. And they have such a great beat going on. I've got my Celtic rattle and it's going and it's moving and we're having a good time. But I knew that wasn't where the ceremony was going to be. We move further down along the path, and one of the guys knows exactly where there is this unusual structure where it's almost like two rocks are standing up with the flat rock across the top with some moss. Very beautiful, but well hidden. So we finally find this, and it was like I knew that that's where the ceremony needed to be. I stood on this beautiful granite rock, and I started with my invocations, pulling in all that needed to be there, and went into some light language. It was just, and the rattle and everything was going. And when I was finished, all of a sudden I dropped down into this deep peace. So I knew I was done. And then I'm like, my intensity, my passion, everything is back down to just an easy level. So anyway, that's like a typical day for me. No, only kidding. Every once in a while it shows up. But what does also happen more often than not is I can be really anxious. I know I'm empathetic with what's going on, an empath and all, but there are days when I feel like that tiger in the cage and there's something going on. And then it takes me a few seconds to minutes, depending, to realize, oh, this isn't about me. It's about something outside of me. And usually it's about something going on in the world. And it could be a tsunami. It could be a shooting. It could be almost anything going on, an earthquake. So, and sometimes I feel all of these feelings prior to the event. So it gets a little confusing to kind of want to know what's out there, or what am I feeling, and what does it correlate with? But sometimes I don't know that till after. What I've learned to do is, my term is I say stop. I stop what I'm doing. I drop into meditation-y prayer, and I send out healing and love. And I pray for whatever needs to be prayed for. And I think that's part of the deal is with this being called, is you don't always know what's going on. So it's a lot of trust that I have to have in order to be able to be open and to be ready to do whatever I need to do. Another example was that one night I was in my home and getting ready for bed, and all of a sudden there's that urgency to go up to this one room, sit down. My hands are getting burning hot. The aura's going hot. I see Jesus off to the side, and before you know it, I am getting some sort of attunement, initiation into the Christed energy. Again, I'm just following along. It's not my will, it's thy will. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Go off on vacation to Canada. And in Canada, go into one of the museums, very beautiful museum. One floor is just devoted to Native American artifacts. And there was this lovely teepee in one of the areas that you could walk into. And walking into the teepee, there are little figures around the edge showing what people would have done back in that time period. And it's a quiet museum, not too many people were around. So I walk in this teepee and I immediately start speaking light language with honor, respect, intensity. It was just unbelievable. So I'm like, okay, let me walk out. I walk out and it stops. So I go around and, come back, and I'm like, oh, let me try this teepee thing again, because it's kind of fun. We're playing here. And I walk into the teepee, and there it comes again, that light language. So you just never know where you are, when you are, for what it is you need to do or serve. Who knows why that was happening? Maybe there was a reason why I needed to connect. You just, like I said, you just never know. Most recently, during one of my sessions with one of my clients, I'm doing my thing, and all of a sudden there's this whatever that comes over me. And now I'm seeing this whole new healing technique that I can do. I call it the golden wave of Sacred Brilliance, but it was clear as day. I could see this intense wave of gold and how it was surrounding the client and what needed to be done. And I'm slowly getting the information that it has to do with our, ascension, and one of the many steps for helping people along the way to ascension and our awakening. So everything has shown up for me with this awesome intensity and kind of in my face. It's not just a little thing, it's like a big nudge. So I need to obviously be trusting in order to keep going. I guess, sometimes I step back and go, oh, well, what if I chose not to answer this call? What would that look like? Well, portals wouldn't have been open. People wouldn't have been healed as much as they've been healed. Souls wouldn't have moved. So obviously, I'm an instrumental piece to whatever needs to happen here, as well as all of us are. And it's just kind of, it's exciting on one hand, but it's not my will, it's thy will be done. And I look back in history, I look back to like the George Washington time period, and he was divinely guided to do what he did. He kept saying, providence be my guide. That was his word. Instead of God, it was providence. And when you hear about what he went through in order to make something happen, the conditions were horrible, the weather was horrible, there wasn't enough food, and the guys didn't have shoes, and just anything that could go wrong obstacle-wise was there. He didn't get the help that he thought he was going to have, but somehow he knew it, he persevered, he had the courage, the faith, the strength to just keep going forward, that fortitude no matter what. I don't know if you guys know, but he didn't want to be president. But he was divinely guided to be in that role in order to make things happen to be a sacred America. And then today is Palm Sunday as well. And that's when Jesus Yeshua rode through the streets to answer his call, or to keep answering the call that he was doing. Again, it wasn't his will, but it was the divine will in order to be that instrument to awaken the masses. So, Lord, let me be an instrument of thy peace. So, more on a more local level, some others that I've seen who have been called in their own way. One of it is our own Trisha Gallagher. She started out by knowing that, she's a great spirit, fabulous woman, and she knew that she wanted to make people smile more. So she realized that a lot of the flower shops, when they're done with their flowers, they just throw them out. Well, she decided to go to like Trader Joe's and collect the flowers that they were going to throw out and then start giving them to people in nursing homes, people who needed them. Even at Circle, she would leave flowers. And then she most recently was sharing what she's done on the Today Show. So you just never know. That was her passion, to give to others, and it's blossomed literally for her. Then we've got people like Peter Moses with his songs and his passion for helping children grow with their self-esteem. We've got Hannah-Laura Goodwin, who started with just a simple little group of friends in a home and created this fabulous ministry school, a Circle of Miracles here. Then we've got Glenda and the board and all of you others who come together to keep Circle alive and moving forward. So many of you have been called to do God's work. So reminders, when you are called, watch for those signs. Really listen, because you never know. Show up. Be ready. Say yes. Have that deep passion and intensity. And just see it through no matter what the obstacles are. So my words for you today: stay strong, keep the faith, have courage, because you are being called to serve, and just say yes. So thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. That was beautiful. I don't know how to do it technically, but I would put up my song called "Just Say Yes to Living in Spirit."
Yes, good idea.
I was thinking while you were talking, I actually think that everyone is called. Everybody on earth is called. And right now that call is really loud. And can we hear it? How many will answer the call?
Absolutely. Just keep saying yes.
Keep saying yes.